Hey guys, it's Jay and Jacob.
And we fixed it. Oh no, we just looked at a walkthrough. So
Dear Esther,
this one.
the gulls do not land here anymore. I've noticed that this year they seem to shun the place. Maybe it's the depletion of the fishing stock
We'll be
driving them
quiet.
away. Perhaps it's me. When he first landed here, Donnelly wrote that the herds were sickly and their shepherds the lowest of the miserable classes that populate these Hebridean islands. 300 years later, even they have departed. Donnelly reported the legend of the hermit, a holy man who sought solitude in its most pure form. Allegedly, he rode here from the mainland in a boat without a bottom, so all the creatures of the sea could rise at night to converse with him. How disappointed he must have been with their chatter. Perhaps now, when all that haunts the ocean is the rubbish dumped from the tankers, he'd find more peace. They say he threw his arms wide in a valley on the south side and the cliff opened up to provide him shelter. They say he died of fever 116 years later. The shepherds left gifts for him at the mouth of the cave, but Donnelly records they never claimed to have seen him. I have visited the cave and I have left my gifts, but like them, I appear to be an unworthy subject of his solitude.
here it is.
Yep.
Walking along the cliff.
I'm worrying about how dangerous it could be.
The mount is clearly the focal point of this landscape. It almost appears so well placed as to be artificial. I find myself easily slipping into the delusional state of ascribing purpose, deliberate motive to everything here. Was this island formed during the moment of impact? When we were torn loose from our moorings and the seatbelts cut motorway lanes into our chests and shoulders, did it first break surface then? When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this: to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh.
This is the scenery.
Yeah.
The music is gone.
Oh well.
Did you give me permission to eat them?
Eat what?
Is it okay if you give me permission to eat them?
Eat what?
The producers of the mod.
No, I do not give you permission.
Aww.
Yeah.
Yep. That's right. Loading screen. Never saw it coming.
Sure wasn't. Wasn't expecting that.
I was. I knew it was gonna happen.
Wow, you're magic.
Quiet.
That's a long loading screen.
Like my penis.
What?
You heard me.
There we go. I don't know what that was all about, but yeah.
Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome brake services. But although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
Maybe we should take a left.
Left. That's right. Better. This music is amazing. To be honest.
Shut up. So bizarre.
I've begun to wonder if Donnelly's voyage here was as prosaic as it was presented. How disappointed not to have found the bones of the holy man. No wonder he hated the inhabitants so. To him they must have seemed like barnacles mindlessly clinging to a mercy seat. Why cling so hard to the rock? Because it is the only thing that stops us from sliding into the ocean, into oblivion.
Oh, crap.
It's that way.
You're right.
Here.
That's where we came from.
No.
There. You know what? I don't even know.
Your arm is makes up 80% of your entire body weight. That's proved back.
I had kidney stones and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk.
This will make a really good Halo map.
Halo is nothing compared to this.
I know, but if they like made it better, like it looked really good map.
How dare you even bring up Halo?
Halo's my friend.
Not mine.
Why?
Because Valve games are better.
Oh yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I've begun to climb,
2K games are better.
away from the sea and
Nope.
towards the center. It is a straight line to the summit, where the evening begins to coil around the aerial and squeeze the signals into early silence. The bothy squats against the mast to avoid the gaze of the aerial. I too will creep under the island like an animal and approach it from the northern shore. The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s. By then, shepherding had formalized into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jakobsen, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians. He was not considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders. He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either.
What? I just saw a guy right
When
standing
the oil
right
lamps
there.
ran out, I didn't pick up a torch, but use the moonlight to read about.
First look at the recording to see if he
When
was.
I've pulled the last shreds of sense from it, I will throw Donnelly's book from the cliffs and perhaps myself with it. Maybe it will wash back up through the caves and erupt from the spring when the rain comes, making its return to the hermit's cave. Perhaps it will be back on the table when I wake. I think I may have thrown it into the sea several times before.
Going right off the cliff.
I sure hope this is the right way.
You find it wasn't a sign at the end saying, haha, we shoot you.
That would never happen in this game.
And the trap door came from under you and you go into like this, actually I don't want to say what the kind of chamber it is.
He left his body to the
Torture
medical
chamber?
school and was duly opened out for a crowd of students 21 days after his passing. The report is included in my edition of his book. The syphilis had torn through his guts like a drunk driver, scrambling his organs like eggs on a plate. But enough definition remained for a cursory examination, and, as I suspected, they found clear evidence of kidney stones. He's likely to have spent the last years of his life in considerable pain. Perhaps this is the root of his laudanum habit. Although its use makes him an unreliable witness, I find myself increasingly drawn into his orbit.
You can see cave.
I do too. It's a long walk just to go to the cave. I'm pretty
They
sure
found
anybody-
Jakobsen in early spring. The thaw had only just come. Even though he'd been dead nearly 7 months, his body had been frozen right down to the nerves and had not even begun to decompose. He'd struggled halfway down the cliff path, perhaps looking for some lost goat, or perhaps in a delirium, and expired, curled into a claw right under the winter moon. Even the animals shunned his corpse. The mainlanders thought to bring it home unlucky. Donnelly claims they dragged it to the caves to thaw out and rot, but he is proving an unreliable witness.
This doesn't look good.
What?
This looks like it's a dead end of some sort or something.
Climbing down to the caves, I slipped and fell and have injured my leg. I think the femur is broken. It is clearly infected. The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out the ache of my stones. I struggled back to the bottom to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end. The medical supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They will keep me lucid for my final ascent. Come back.
Why does he say that?
Because he's chasing somebody.
It could be if the guy talking is behind you the entire time.
You turn around and just like... you just turn around at the very end. It says, there's a sign that says, turn around, and you do, and there's like this little deformed guy.
Oh wait, it's unloading.
Never mind. I don't know why, but there should always be a sign at the end of the tunnel saying, ha, ha, ha.
It's because of your warped sense of humor.
Oh my gosh. Blue stuff. You died.
Did Jakobsen crawl this far? Can I identify the scratches his nails ruined into the rocks? Am I following him cell for cell, inch for inch? Why did he turn back on himself and not carry through to the ascent?
Turn around, you gotta crouch.